Now on CoastTV News.
Ocean City homeowners react to new regulations proposed for short-term rentals, why some say the council is overstepping. Route 24 at the center of debate at Sussex County Council approves one development here and denies another. Trump eyeing Greenland, but Denmark says no. The deal Greenland officials may consider.
We're tracking precipitation moving across the peninsula for right now, but the real question is, will it get cold enough to turn it to snow?
This is CoastTV News at 5.
Today, a realtor weighing in on the Ocean City Council's short-term rental cap. Good evening. I'm Christina Robertis. Madeline and Charlie have the night off. Our top story tonight, a new rule proposed by the Ocean City Council that could affect short-term rentals in certain areas in town. On Tuesday, the council pushed one option to a future work session that would regulate those short-term rentals. This is for residential areas and mobile home communities. Coast TV reporter Kevin Zapay joins us live in Ocean City now. Kevin, the proposed rule could affect thousands of homeowners.
Christina, the proposal would add a 10% cap to those short-term rental licenses allowed in those areas. What essentially means they would allow 375 licenses in an area that has over 3,750 homes. We went around town to get reactions. Short-term rentals in residential neighborhoods and mobile home communities have left the town of Ocean City divided, with some understanding why regulations are needed.
People are coming here to stay here, to retire here. They want quiet and peace. They want normalcy.
While others say the proposed regulation goes too far.
We want everybody to have quiet enjoyment in their property without taking away their rights.
With two very different opinions, it's up to the Ocean City Council to try and find a middle ground.
It's got to be hard, so good luck to them.
During Tuesday's Ocean City work session, the town discussed 5 options to regulate short-term rental licenses in these areas. Those 5 options were eventually narrowed down to just one, which was then pushed to a future work session. The option moving forward is a 10% cap on short-term rental licenses in residential neighborhoods and mobile home communities. So how many licenses would be allowed if this passed today? According to the Ocean City agenda, there's currently 341 short-term rental licenses in residential areas and mobile home communities. If the town moved forward with a 10% cap right now, that number would be limited to 375 rental licenses, which means only 34 new short-term rental licenses would be available in these areas. We sat down with Terry Riley, a realtor in Ocean City, to get his reaction to what he believes is an unfair regulation.
They're still going to be impacting somewhere north of 3,000 families in the future and take their rights away from their ability to rent their property short-term.
Riley believes residents made their decision during the special election in July and says enforcement should focus on problem rental owners.
I think there should be restrictions once you get 3 violations.
But for Evelyn Anderson, who owns a place in Ocean City, she believes a 10% cap is a fair compromise.
I think it's probably a nice medium way to go and keeps a cap on it so it's not crazy.
With different opinions across the town, it's now up to the Ocean City Council to decide what it believes is the best option moving forward. Now, Tuesday's meeting only covered short-term rental licenses, but the town plans to discuss the operation of short-term rentals in the future. I'm Kevin Zapay, live in Ocean City, Coast TV News.
Thanks, Kevin. And some other options the town discussed for those short-term rental licenses included a freeze option, which would have capped the current 341 licenses in those areas. Also a phase-out option, which would gradually reduce the number of licenses as properties were sold or owners chose not to renew. Another option on the table was taking no action at all. Now to Lewis, you're looking at Route 24. Sussex County Council yesterday denied Atlantic Fields to be rezoned on that highway, but last month the council approved Bellmead on the road to being rezoned, bringing that property one step closer to a development with businesses and apartments. Coast TV's Emma Aiken live there in Lewis. Emma, a nonprofit is now appealing the county's decision on Bellmead.
Christina, the Route 24 Alliance submitted this appeal to challenge the county's decision arguing that the rezoning of this land violates both county and state law. The nonprofit saying the county's decision is inconsistent with the public safety, welfare, and convenience. Meanwhile, for Atlantic Fields, the decision not to rezone yesterday, leaving neighbors celebrating. In the Route 24 Alliance's appeal this week, the group claims the Sussex County Council, quote, misunderstood several crucial data points, unquote, including the amount of traffic and the timing of necessary improvements. We spoke with one woman who says she doesn't understand the council's two different votes on Atlantic Fields and Belmead, as they're both along Route 24.
So I don't understand how just a few weeks ago that passed. It doesn't make sense to me that the same arguments about how the infrastructure, specifically when you talk about Route 24 and the Love Creek Bridge, and the fact that there is no solid plan.
We reached out to Belmead Farm LLC, the developer here, for their comment on the legal action, but they did not respond. Reporting live here in Lewis, Emma Aiken, Coast TV News.
And Emma brings us right to our Coast TV poll tonight. We're asking what you think should go on Route 24. Let's look at the results now. 3% say housing, 57% say retail, 40% say nothing at all. Thanks for answering, and you can still vote. You can change up the answers. Go to coasttv.com or use our mobile app. Now let's take a live look outside into Cambridge, looking a little gray and gloomy out there. Let's check in with First Alert Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams.
Well, right now we are tracking some cold rain, basically is the best way you could put it. I don't see us getting a little cold enough for it to turn over to snow at this point, and I don't think we're going to stay above that threshold for the rest of the evening. But right now we're holding an ocean view at 46 degrees, and it's a very cutting cold, wet, damp feeling that we have going on right now. Not just an all-out shower, but we're looking for what rain we have in ocean view to come to an end as early as 6 o'clock, and then we're staying in the mid-40s throughout the rest of the evening with partly to mostly cloudy skies. And you can see we're well above freezing in all of our locations, actually. 47 in Bethany Beach as well as Rehoboth, 44 in Georgetown, 44 Gumboro, 45 right now in Millsboro, and we're getting a little bit cooler, actually 2 to 4 degrees cooler. Here's the latest look what's happening with the rain. This is precipitation, and we do have active winds now picking up momentum at 45 miles per hour, so it's going to become blustery and wet, and all that makes for just a mess, a very raw mess in general. And all this is shooting towards the northeast, moving at approximately 25 to 30 miles per hour, with a couple of embedded areas where we have some heavier downpours. No storms, just heavy annoying showers. Coming up, we're talking about a big cool down. Well, we should call it, Christina, a cold down.
All right, thank you, Paul. And with that cold, the Delaware Department of Health and Social Services is opening some warming centers. The centers will be open on Thursday, January 15th and Friday the 16th from 9 to 4. Stations will be open in Sussex County at the Shipley State Service Center, also the Adams and Laurel State Service Centers, in Kent County at the Williams State Service Center and Smyrna Service Center, and in Newcastle County at the Canby Park office, the Claymont State Service Center, and Churchman's Corporate Center. Delmarva Power is launching a customer relief fund expansion after receiving $500,000 from its parent company, Exelon. Company officials say the funding supports customers in both Delaware and Maryland. Customers with electric and gas bills are eligible for $500. This all comes after Delmarva Power considers raising its electric base rates here in Delaware. Well, President Trump has always been vocal on his desire to own Greenland, but that country's officials say no thanks. As NBC's Melanie Zanona reports, those talks came to a head today as diplomats from Greenland and Denmark met with U.S. officials at the White House.
Greenland is not for sale. That's it from Danish and Greenland officials in their meeting with Vice President Vance and Secretary Rubio.
The president has made his view clear, and we have a different position. Ideas that would not respect territorial integrity of the Kingdom of Denmark and the right of self-determination of the Greenlandic people are, of course, totally unacceptable.
Despite President Trump's latest heated talk of taking over the Arctic territory.
If we don't take Greenland, Russia or China will, and I'm not letting that happen.
Greenland is an autonomous territory belonging to Denmark. but has its own officials and is self-governing. And the Prime Minister adamant that his country does not want to be owned or governed by the United States. Since his first term, President Trump has eyed the Arctic island, claiming it's vital for national security. But it's also rich in natural resources and is also crucial for new shipping routes and defense positions. Danish and Greenland officials signaling they're open to a deal to expand the U.S. military footprint on the Arctic island.
We have been pushing for quite a while in NATO for a stronger collective role in Greenland together with a number of allies. And we are eager to work with the U.S. on advancing this agenda, and we are prepared to go further.
All the talk of a takeover has put Greenlanders and European leaders on edge. But those same leaders vowing to support Greenland and Denmark.
It is important that the Greenlanders know, and they know this by the deeds, not only by the words, that we respect the wishes of the Greenlanders and their interests, and that they can count on us.
While President Donald Trump has not ruled out military action to acquire Greenland, buying it is also an option. However, it could be an exorbitant price tag. According to 3 people familiar with the matter, it could cost the United States as much as $700 billion in order to buy the Danish territory. Melanie Zanona, NBC News, Washington.
School cell phone policies are under discussion. What's next for a new bill in Dover?
And right now we have rain that's racing across the peninsula, but we have a much colder concern around the corner.
But first, new firehouse in Long Neck under construction. How officials say the expansion will improve its services. That's next.
This is Coast TV News at 5.
The Indian River Volunteer Fire Company is undergoing a multi-million-dollar upgrade to its second fire station. That's in Long Neck. Fire company officials say the nearly $3.5 million expansion was funded by company reserves, also a construction mortgage. The expansion includes bringing some more space for fire trucks, new radio rooms, and new lounge spaces. This after receiving the highest call volume ever in 2025 with 607 calls.
Not having the resources or the equipment in order to serve a community is a great stress and strain on the fire service, on the personnel.
Officials say construction is expected to be complete by the first quarter of 2026. Coming up next, Paul Williams in the Coast TV First Alert Weather Center. He's tracking your forecast and he has it right after this.
Well, the precipitation that we're seeing right now arrived a little bit ahead of schedule, and because of that, we're not overly concerned about it turning over into snow or ice or anything like that. But we do have a slight, and I do mean a sliver of a slight chance of seeing a couple of snow flurries on Sunday, but we'll get to that in just a second, all right? First of all, in Ocean City, we're at 45 degrees, courtesy of our Gateway Subaru camera. 40s, mid-40s is where we're going to stay for the rest of this evening, and relatively calm conditions out there on the water. But the winds have actually picked up momentum, and now we have gale wind warnings in full effect across the Delmarva Peninsula, really along the shoreline. 44 degrees in Long Neck, Millsboro, Georgetown, Laurel, Delmar, and Gumboro. And we're in the mid to upper 40s in other locations. Now, we are a bit cooler than we were just yesterday. And we talked about this yesterday in great detail, that we're going to start sliding down that slippery slope of temperatures nosediving below the norm for this time of the year instead of being above the norm for this time of the year. Gale wind warnings, I just referred to a few moments ago. When I say a gale wind warning, we're talking about 45 mile per hour winds from Lewis down towards Fenwick Island, okay? Now, as far as from Ocean City on down and on the other side, we're talking about 30 to 35 mile per hour winds. Regardless, no matter what shoreline you're on with the Delmarva Peninsula, it's blustery. And we're seeing the rain that's moving towards the northeast, moving at about 20 to 25 miles per hour. It's going to continue on that trajectory, but it's breaking up. It's losing its density or intensity as we move along. That trough is sweeping on through, and it's more intense on this side of the trough than that side of the trough, and we're on that side of the trough, so to speak. And so look for that rain to clear out pretty quickly. The big story is still the cold that's on the way. Because look at Friday. This icicle goes even past hard freeze, and we stay that way for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So yeah, it's about to get really, really cold next week. But as far as Friday is concerned, we're looking at the winds also. The winds are not going to help our comfort level at all. We're looking at 30 to 35 mile per hour winds just across a good portion of the inland areas. Don't be surprised if we end up with a wind advisory for the inland portion of the Delmarva Peninsula to go along with the gale force winds along the shore and out in the water. So for Thursday, we're looking at winds out of the west up to like 30 miles per hour, average everywhere. And so we're looking at cloudy skies. Now for Thursday, we're seeing the temperatures dropping dramatically for Thursday. And I was concerned about precipitation because we have a chance of precipitation, 15. We go up to maybe about 35 to 40 for Sunday. But overall, we're still looking pretty quiet for Thursday, even as we break it down, city by city. We're looking at Thursday morning, it clears out pretty quickly, and we start to see the cloud cover move out of the way. So instead of tracking the rain during that time period, that rain, we're feeling it right now, and it's getting out of the way. Our big story, how cold is it going to feel? It's going to feel like 16 Thursday night. It's going to feel like 9 Friday morning. Then it'll start feeling better, like 25 by Friday afternoon. Whew. And that's nothing compared to what's on the way. Listen, I'm going to let you know. Just to show you how cold it's going to be, we have to squish these two numbers together. That's just how close, because we're looking for a high of only 26 and a low of 18.
That sure is cold. Thank you, Paul. Well, on Tuesday, the Delaware House approved a bipartisan bill aimed at regulating student cell phone use in schools. The legislation requires districts and charter schools to create cell phone policies with input from teachers. Those policies will dictate when and where students can use their phones. Schools must communicate the rules to parents and students, but emergency situations would be an exception. One student CoastTV spoke with about this actually agrees with the rule.
I 100% notice that they're a distraction a lot of the time. Even the smartwatches that people get, they're also a distraction. I feel like that would probably help.
And so the bill now returns to the Senate for consideration of House Amendment 2. Coming up tonight on the Delmarva Sports Network at 6 p.m., Sussex Central at Cape Henlopen in wrestling. And at 10:30 p.m., you can watch the final score. You can watch that wrestling match we just mentioned on DSN Plus, along with some exclusives. At 6 p.m., Virginia Wesleyan at UMES in men's volleyball. Also at 6 p.m., Indian River at Lake Forest in wrestling. And at 6:30, Smyrna at Dover in wrestling.
We salute David Brown, a United States Marine who answered his draft notice just out of high school and served proudly in Vietnam. During his tour, he helped rebuild villages after villages were recaptured, bringing hope back to communities impacted by war. Honorably discharged and recognized with the Vietnamese Medal of Honor, David's commitment and character reflect the very best of the Marine Corps.
Spicer Brothers and CoastTV are honoring military persons and first responders serving Delmarva. If you have a family member, friend, or community member that you would like to nominate for a CoastTV salute, go to coasttvsalutes.com.
Delmarva Power is planning to replace telephone poles along Cooper Street in Laurel from Front Street to Route 24. That's beginning Tuesday, January 20th, according to the town of Laurel. The town says the project is expected to last several weeks and will include lane closures on Cooper Street. The town says temporary power outages are also expected. Carbon emissions recently reversed course after a recent decline. They rose in 2025 by 2.4%, according to the independent economic research firm Rhodium Group. Analysts say power-hungry data centers and colder weather are causing furnaces to work harder, and that's definitely played a factor. Countries such as the U.S. have not kept up with previous promises to lessen emissions. Analysts say the rise comes before the Trump administration's pro-fossil fuel policies will go into effect. Now here's a live look into Laurel. We'll have one more check on your forecast coming up right after this.
Well, to be honest, yeah, it's a little bit on the rainy side for right now, but even that rain is starting to wind down quickly because the big story is still going to be the cold that's on the way. And when I say the cold, I mean the real cold that's on the way. We're at 45 degrees. That's not cold. It's uncomfortable, but it's not cold. And what rain we have will come to an end in Milford by the time we get to, let's say, going towards 7 o'clock. Umbrella giveaway winner, Sakari Rogers of Seaford. Congratulations, courtesy of Paul Davis Property Restoration Experts. Keep up with your forecast. We update it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Call 443-880-9100. Your forecast is just a call away. Sponsored by the law offices of Bruckstead, Mendalis, and Federico. And finally, here's a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast. Listen, 39 is cool enough and 37 is cool enough. But we're going to rebound nicely on Saturday. But then Sunday, we have at least about a 40% chance of a snow shower in the morning time. But that's not the real story. That's the real story.
That's the real story. A good time to stay inside, I think. Thanks for joining us here for Coast TV News at 5, and you can download our Coast TV News app for more news and weather. Inside Edition is up next, and we're back at 6 p.m. Have a great evening.